Now this is rather different. Writing in a journal I haven't used in a number of years. So, why do I bring this up, you may ask? Well, I needed some time to step away from my usual travels. You see, Craig and I had just left Skara after an horrifying encounter with my old enemies, the Daleks in fact. It was in the midst of the aftermath of their creation, 7 years to be precise. However, something was rather off once we arrived. Little did I realize that the Daleks were slightly evolving faster than we imagined. And it was all because of my greatest enemy. I'm referring to the Supreme Commander. I'd happened to met him earlier when I first met Craig, and when he and his forces were planning to invade Earth. I still regret that day, all those years ago when I failed to stop his creation during the Eternity War. Wow, I was so young back then, but yet so old and so broken. But the thing is, with the Supreme Commander, he saw the Dalek Empire in a state as cowards who were constantly defeated. But with him, he ensured that he would ravage the universe to show no mercy to anyone that crossed his path. The Emperor redeemed him to be a dangerous weapon and pushed things too far, which resulted in ultimate conflict between the Supreme Commander's factions and the Dalek Empire. As for what happened, that's a story for another time. Even in that, wherever he is, I fear he may return. No matter what form it is, or what matter where he has travelled to, he'll still be out there. And next time, I'll be prepared to stop him. Now, aside from all that, one of the scariest things having to deal with on Skara was almost losing Craig. Ever since we've been travelling together, I've grown rather impressed with his skills. Even when I try to push things a little too far, he always does his best to pull me back down to reality. Our friendship has grown since I've shown him the universe, and it would be rather hard to see him go. I have the sense there's something's hidden within him, especially since he doesn't mention it all that much of his past life, but that's reasonably fair. If he doesn't want to talk about it, I definitely do think I should be more reachable at times, but even I have my insecurities. I have to say, this incarnation's actually a nice change though. I do tend to have my issues. I've started to become a tad bit more reclusive at times, and I've been needing to have a bit of a quiet place for me to think and concentrate after several overwhelming adventures. Sometimes, whenever I'm not showing Craig around the TARDIS corridors or wherever playing a good board game of Battleship, I have my own personal study for me to either play the organ, writing in this journal, or even catching up on some random books that I haven't read in years. I found myself reading Day of the Triffids by John Wyndham. It's a good book, but I will say, I'm still on the second chapter. Goodness me, it goes on forever. I've also tried things to help pass the time whenever I'm trying to concentrate and think. One time I was in a cell, and I was playing my harmonica, which I had in one of my jacket pockets. I'm not the greatest, but I've happened to learn a few tricks with it. I would admit, being a traveller does have its benefits and its disadvantages. For me, being almost 1,000,000 years old, I can have all the freedom I want. I tend to go from one place after another, showing people the thrills of what I saw years ago when I was younger. But I can't say, even with the dangers, it's become tiring, and I've never stopped running. Sometimes I feel that someday I might start growing old before I can regenerate again. Eventually, finding myself sitting on a chair doing nothing. And worst of all, just losing my memory. Thinking about it, maybe a holiday could work for Craig and I. Maybe somewhere on the beach. That sounds like a good idea.